Well, what a week to be back from my hollybobs. I'm in this hot seat for the duration now as we get into party conference season. We prepare for the budget on November the 26th and everything else in between. And joining me now to go through a great and stellar set of Sunday front pages is the broadcaster and political commentator Tim Montgomerie, once a Tory, now in Reform, close to Boris, close to Nigel, close to Nadine. You're the man with all of the secrets as to what's been going on in the last few days. So let's get stuck in.
I have to pay you some money for that introduction,
well,
I think.
you are the perfect man to be reviewing the papers this morning. So the Mail on Sunday is basically quoting Nadine Dorries saying that what really needs to happen now is we need a Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson dream team to unite the right. Would that have gone down well with Nigel Farage?
I don't think so. And look, I've been all over the shop on this particular issue, Camilla. If you wanted someone with a steady opinion on this issue, you've got the wrong person.
Just an honest opinion will do, Tim, honestly.
When I joined Reform, I thought part of the role I could play, actually, would be to help the Reform Party and the Conservatives come together in some way, because it would be ridiculous if Labour were re-elected at the next election because the Tories and Reform were squabbling and dividing seats.
Heaven forbid for the right.
But it's more complicated than that. So, one of Reform's great opportunities, for example, in the coming year is to, for example, win in Wales.
Yes.
Now, Wales is only going to turn Reform if Reform is seen, as Nigel Farage is seen, as someone who repudiates a lot of what the Conservative Party has done in the past. Lee Anderson, one of the Reform MPs, he's very powerful, actually, remembering what Toryism did to mining communities.
Yes.
So I understand the interest in a pact on the right, but it's much more complicated in those sort of harder-pressed communities which haven't done well from economic change, and they see in Reform, quite rightly, a different kind of economic agenda
it's kind
from
of
the Tories.
Vancian right-wingers, talking about reindustrialising mining towns in Wales, while at the same time being tough on immigration, keeping taxes low and all the rest of it. What's missing from this story, and maybe you can give us some insight, what does Boris Johnson think about all this? What does Boris Johnson think about Nadine having defected? And what does he think about talk of him defecting to Reform?
Well, look, I don't chat that much to Boris Johnson, so you probably slightly overdid my... but am I allowed,
talk to him more than
am I allowed to say? Am I allowed to say something slightly naughty on a Sunday morning?
Please do. We love naughtiness on a Sunday morning.
Boris Johnson, I do know, has joked about the fact that the idea of a Reform-Tory alliance is a bit like a penis enlargement kit. I'm so sorry, Camilla. You won't have me on this programme again, will you? But he compares it to a penis enlargement kit in the sense that everybody wants one, but they never quite work. And so, I think that is true about the idea of a Tory Reform.
Good idea in theory. In
alliance.
Practice, not so much.
But, a lot of people who may be voting Reform will never vote Tory. And a lot of people I know who are Tories, find Reform a little bit too difficult in some of its sort of,
which is
stronger
strange,
policies.
Really, because they are so closely aligned on so many different policy areas.
But there are some very big differences, particularly on economic issues as well. And the fact is that the Tories did not deliver on immigration. How many elections did the Tories promise to deliver on immigration, and they didn't? They failed in so many promises. So for many Reform potential voters, they're toxic, the Tories still.
I appreciate that. And some indeed thinking they're dead, including Nadine Dorries.
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind the more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver. and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
Let's move on to the issue of immigration then, because of the reshuffle. So on Monday, Yvette Cooper's doing a brilliant job at the Home Office. She's smashing the gangs. God love her. By Friday, she's out.
Yeah.
She's over to the Foreign Office, and Shabana Mahmood has come in, formerly the Justice Secretary.
Yeah.
Actually, a very successful and impressive woman, to be perfectly
Very
honest.
impressive, yeah.
She is really impressive.
Yeah. Have
She's
you
had quite a
interviewed her?
stellar career. No, I haven't.
No.
Please do come on, Shabana Mahmood, because we'd love to speak to you
Yeah.
on GB News. And I'm sure she will in future. Is she going to be able to bring down illegal immigration, legal immigration? Has she got the appetite for it? Question marks over her being pro-Palestinian, yet running the Home Office. Is this right? She once attended an event where she said refugees welcome. She was a co-signatory to a 2020 letter trying to stop that flight of Jamaican convicts. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
She supported the boycott of Israeli goods.
Really?
She's partisan
That's not good. That's not good.
on the issue of the Middle East.
Well, I had forgotten some of that stuff. But can I come back to the central issue of can they stop the boats that you posed? Was it yesterday we had another 1,000 people crossing the channel?
In one day?
I think, well, it was certainly over the last week
Couple
or
of
over
days,
the last... 1,000 people. Can we now absolutely lay to rest this idea that the deal that Keir Starmer struck with the French president is going to make any difference?
One in,
at
one
all?
out. One
No.
in...
17
in, one out.
Yeah,
but now
exactly.
he's doing a similar deal with the Germans.
Yeah, but they're small beer. And so what I think is interesting about the front page of the Sunday Times today, and I've heard it, on other news bulletins, is Labour are finally talking about a bonfire of these ridiculous rights that are imposed on us from another age that don't suit our times, that stop us deporting people properly. Because until we have the kind of policy that Nigel Farage proposed a couple of weeks ago, that everybody who comes into Britain is detained and deported, we will not stop the boats.
Although there's an interesting line in the Sunday Times piece saying that Mahmood is open to reforming our relationship with the ECHR.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think she's interesting, because there are some people, it was pretty toxic, actually, on X when I tweeted how impressed I am with the new Home Secretary.
That went down well with some.
Yes, it went down. It was pretty unattractive, actually, some of the tweets I was receiving.
Fair enough.
And they were thinking, a Muslim in charge of the Home Office? There was a lot of that, I'm afraid. Of course, we've had a Muslim in charge of the Home Office before in terms of Sajid Javid. But I think there may be something in having a Muslim Home Secretary who is probably, according to people inside Labour, probably the most right-wing member of the government. She can go to places on rights issues that other people cannot go to.
So it could be quite a shrewd appointment by Starmer.
It might be a really shrewd appointment. Yeah.
I tell you what is confusing me is why, of all cabinet ministers, the one person who was safe in this reshuffle on Friday was the Chancellor Rachel Reeves, even though there have been more calls for her to go than actually anyone else, bar Rayner, in light of the tax avoidance story. Why is she still there in your mind, Tim? You're good at analysing the political manoeuvrings of prime ministers.
We all tiptoe around this issue, but of course we remember the tears in the House of...
Can't forget them.
Can't forget them. And the markets did wobble that day. And what Labour are absolutely petrified is any repeat of what happened to Liz Truss. And I think Keir Starmer is very worried that if he moves Rachel Reeves, the markets will react badly.
Or react well, perhaps.
Perhaps well.
I mean, this is the other irony. She's rolling all of these tax rises because borrowing is at a record high. It's the highest level since 1993. Yeah. Forget 22 billion black holes. Apparently now the black hole in her own budgets is 50 billion. So she's going to have to tax. Actually, if she was moved and somebody more moderate came in who didn't want to tax thin air, the markets might react well.
If someone like Wes Streeting was appointed as Chancellor, I think the markets would probably think that was a good thing. I don't know. But one thing is, I think, Camilla, is to make a mistake. And last year they made a mistake. They basically blighted the British economy by saying there was going to be a budget that raised taxes, and they didn't say what taxes there would be. And so for about 6 months, the whole British economy went into sort of standstill because businesses didn't know what to expect. And they've done it again this year.
12 weeks.
They've done it again this year. And the budget is still, nearly 2 months away, the end of next month.
Yeah, it's like just before Christmas.
End
it's
of
the 26th of November, so it's 12 weeks away. It's the latest possible. It's the last sitting Wednesday in the calendar before we all break up for Christmas. I tell you what's
so
also...
So we have another 3 months in which businesses can't plan.
Yeah. And people are thinking, shall I sell my home?
Yeah.
Everything just
It's crazy,
stagnates.
economics, crazy.
I tell you what else is interesting. Both the Times and the Telegraph, Sunday papers, are running these stories about how great Darren Jones is. Who's briefing this in? Why have the two
Darren Jones, perhaps?
Well, I'm thinking that. It's like Darren Jones seems to be kind of put up as kind of Starmer's golden boy. And it seems to me as if, talking of pitch rolling, there's the suggestion that he might replace Rachel Reeves when the time comes. Is that your impression of this bloke?
Well, actually, I am quite impressed with him. I've been nice about 2 Labour people on this programme now. I was with a kiss of death for them.
Did you give you some smelling salts going on here?
What have you put in this drink?
I don't know.
But no, I think he's made a couple of mistakes, of course. He's the person who said on BBC Question Time that there were lots of women and children on the boats crossing. And then he made a silly remark comparing the nation's finances to pocket money. So he's not an entirely safe pair of hands. But my understanding from people I talked to inside the Treasury is that he was always on top of the detail. He knew what he was doing. And he was able to make that very difficult spending round happen, much more than Rachel Reeves. He was the person that faced down ministers and brought costs under control inside the government. And that was no small achievement.
I just think it's interesting that the seeds are being sown for him to be next Chancellor, to soften the blow should Rachel Reeves be moved, because that could be cataclysmic for the Prime Minister. Very finally and very quickly, Kemi Badenoch's written in the Mail on Sunday that because of the Rayner farrago, there's no way on earth Reeves can do anything on stamp duty or property taxes. Do you agree with that, or are they brazen enough to just ignore all that?
I think the public finances are so bad now, Camilla, and they're deteriorating, as we've just been discussing. They're going to have to put up taxes. And
I know, but a property tax, revamping council tax, talking about stamp duty, when Angela Rayner admitted to avoiding paying 40 grand.
Look, it's difficult. You tell me a tax increase that isn't difficult. They're all incredibly problematical. And the trouble is now, Britain is in what, economists call a doom loop, whereby we're not getting enough money in to pay the bills. So you put up taxes to try and get more money in, and those extra taxes depress the economy further, so there's even less money coming in. And somehow we have to get out of this ridiculous socialist plan that we're under at the moment, and we need to become a competitive economy. And a competitive economy doesn't need higher taxes.